Hello everyone and welcome on The Papier de Rêve channel. I'm Ursula and today I will be painting with you some rhododendron buds. I think that I've already painted some rhododendron on my YouTube channel, but in a more aerial and light way. And today I want to make something a little bit darker with a lot more contrast. And something different. But as I'm starting this first layer, I can see that I'm starting in the same way than I start the cyclamen video. I'm painting a dark background first, and I will add the flower a little bit later. So maybe it will not be as different, but it will be stronger, of course. So I'm starting this first layer by applying some violet and indigo on my paper. I try to be quite dark in the first go in order to not have to go back in the second layer too much. The rhododendron buds that I'm painting right now are quite light, and that's why I want a dark background for this painting in order to make a big contrast between the flower and the background. And in order to get some stems and leaves in this painting, I'm using the characteristic of nickel azo yellow that is pushing all the pigment away and taking the place of the pigment. You can do that when the color is wet. You can see that nickel azo yellow take all the space where I put it, and it will also move into the paper quite fast and quite in big shapes. And by adding some more nickel azo yellow into the paper or some more indigo, I can in some way sculpt the shape of the leaves in the paper. Of course, everything is still wet and it will be quite blurry for now, but I have time to add some definition to it in further layers. But it's really interesting to work that way, especially with nickel azo yellow, where you can push all the pigment back and take and nickel azo yellow will take their place, and then adding some more dark color in the nickel azo yellow area, you can really work and sculpt the leaves and what you want to paint with it. And once I'm happy with this layer, I will let it dry totally before adding some details. For the second layer, you can see that everything is really blurry for now. So I want to add some definition first in my painting. And for that, I will use some indigo and the negative painting technique in order to create the shape of the rhododendron buds. So I will not paint the bud in itself, but I will paint around the buds if Aria let me paint around it, because she really wants to play today. I will paint so around the buds and I will create the shape of the buds that way. And as I'm applying some color in this area, you already can see the flower coming together. I keep blurring some edges away from the flower in order to have a smooth transition with the background, but what is really around the flower, I want to have some hard edges and in fact really more definition in this area. I'm working mostly with indigo, but I also infuse some violet in this color, just to be in the same ID as my background. I do not want to add another color in this area because it's just background, and I just wanted to make the flower pop a little bit. And last week I was playing with some color contrast between a yellow flower and a violet background, but today the flower is pink, white and pink, and my background is violet and indigo, because I do not want a contrast of color, but I want a contrast of intensity, so a light color against a dark background. And for the leaves, I'm doing the same. I'm using some negative painting techniques in order to create the leaves, but I want the edges a little bit softer, so I will come back with a little bit more nickel azo yellow, and it will blend with the edges I've just made with indigo, and everything will be quite soft for now. I will add some definition a little bit later, but right now I just want softness. And even if it's the second layer, you can see the power of nickel azo yellow. It pushes all the pigment away from his area, and it's quite interesting. And because it's a really transparent pigment, you will see always what's behind it, underneath it. So it's really interesting to layer this color on top of other color. And my picture is starting to come together. You can see the flower, you can see the stem, you can see the leaves. Everything is a little bit blurry and I need some more definition in some area, but it will come in another layer. I will let this layer dry totally and talk you through my surprise. For the brushes, I'm using a Princeton Neptune number 8 and a Rosemary & Co. Éclipse flat number 6. For the colors, I'm using nickel azo yellow, rose madder lake, indigo, and Isaro purple deep. And my paper today is from Arches. It's the cold press one, but the really heavyweight in 640 GSM. For the third and last layer, I will start by doing just the same as the second layer. I'm making some shapes with negative painting technique. I'm painting around the leaf in order to make them appear on my paper. And I really take my time to refine the shape of the leaf, to refine the stem, to refine really everything. I really take my time in order to be a little bit more precise. And I'm still using indigo as my darker color. I try to have less water in my brush and more pigment in order to get a really dark color on my paper. And this time I want to keep hard edges around the leaf, and I will blur the rest of the color into the background, but I really want for you to see the edges of the leaves, because leaves of rhododendron are quite particular. They are almost plasticky in a way. They are quite thick, so I want for you to see that. And almost my work was on the background and on the leaf, and I almost didn't touch the flower at all, but that's what I'm going to do right now by adding some rose madder lake into the buds of rhododendron. And I try to be quite strong with the pink at first, because I can still, when it's wet, take it back a little bit and make it a bit lighter. I found that it was more easy for me to work like that, adding some quite strong pink at first and then come back and soften it. I'm also infusing a little bit of nickel azo yellow at the bottom of the flower buds, just because the stem and the bud are merging at this point a little bit together, and I think that this nickel azo yellow make you think about that in a good way. And the last touches on my painting is about blurring some edges around the flower in order to make it a little bit more aerial and a little bit more delicate. There is some edges that are a little bit too strong for me, so I'm taking this synthetic brush with soft bristle but quite hard bristle at the same time, and I brush around the edges I want to blur a little bit, and it will reactivate the pigment underneath and make it softer. And this video is now ending. Thanks for watching, and I hope you like it. Please check the blog post for more information about this painting, and of course tell me what you think in the comments. See you soon.